We're back at it again with another Battlefront update. With us now nearing mid-April, the much anticipated Scarif update is almost here. And with there not being a new game update last month, then without a doubt the levels of excitement for the Scarif update are at an all-time high. Relatively speaking, DICE has been very quiet these last couple of weeks, so major news has been pretty sparse, but with that said, we still did get little pieces of news here and there, just again, nothing major. Although because I've been pretty busy myself working on my big Kylo Ren First Order lore project, then I haven't had the time to make a video covering any of that stuff. And for those of you who've been with this channel for quite some time now, then you'll know that lore videos take priority over anything for me. So if you're a canon lore junkie, I recommend checking that out, as I've been working hard on only bringing you the highest quality lore content possible. Now, with that all said and done, today's news update video will be more of a news recap of all the news stories I've missed and I didn't get a chance to cover. By that, I mean we'll be going over the latest update on Scarif, Ben's newest tease, devs leaving DICE, and Ashley Eckstein on Ahsoka's future in Battlefront 2, and more. And before we get into any of that, but a quick reminder, as if you do like these type of videos, then do remember to give it a like to show your support for not only this update series, but also the content within it. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Starting things off, we'll tackle some of the behind the scenes stuff that has been going on in the game, and that's to do with the few developers having recently left the Battlefront 2 team. The first of these was Harvey Newman, who tweeted out his departure by thanking everyone at DICE during his last day on the job. For those who don't know, Harvey was the lead animator on the Battlefront 2 team over at DICE, and made the animations for such characters like Darth Maul, Count Dooku, the Droidekas, among others. The second dev who also recently left DICE is Ira Miral, who actually transitioned from the Battlefield 5 team to Battlefront 2, which in itself is actually pretty interesting as it's usually the other way around. Anyway, Ira was a quality assurance analyst and their last work at DICE was part of the Scarif update too. Now, since this news has come out, I've noticed some folks have taken this as some bad type of omen, saying that Battlefront 2 is dying because all the devs are leaving, yada yada. Yeah, no. If anyone is saying all of that just because of this, then I suggest you don't believe them, as they're feeding you false info and trying to cause unnecessary panic within the community. Not to mention, 2 devs leaving by no means translates to all the devs leaving. Last I checked, DICE have almost 700 employees, so 2 leaving is by no means the end of the world for them. If anything, there should have been a panic back in early 2018 when 80 employees left DICE for Ubisoft and Epic Games. And guess what? There wasn't, and we all know how much Battlefront 2 still prospered in late 2018 and all the way through 2019. Because, like any other big company in the world, DICE also hired replacements. I know that's a novel idea to some, but yeah, that's how it is. And if that still wasn't enough to convince you, then just look at the reasons Harvey and Ira had left. For Harvey, he explained via a video that his family were homesick and wanted to return back home to the UK. And when he got a job offer from a game company there to work as a gameplay director, a promotion from his current title, along with a chance to work back in the UK on a new and very interesting project, then it was impossible to say no. As for Ira, unfortunately they haven't tweeted much after their departure tweet. But considering they were a QA analyst, then they were most likely there on a contract basis, seeing as those are usually contract roles. And let me tell ya, this is very normal. Game devs constantly move around due to reasons like this, as many of them are on contract roles. Once the contract is up, you're either promoted to a full-time role, which means a whole different position on a team, or you leave and go join another company. That's just how it is in this industry. Speaking as someone who worked in the games industry myself and still has friends in that industry, then I can say this is all very normal. So again, no need to panic. Oh, and while we're on the topic of promotions, Ben Walke also tweeted about his final day as the community manager for EA Star Wars, saying how the last 2 years have definitely given him a sense of pride and accomplishment, as well thanking the entire community. Along with that, he dropped an image of Maul from Rebels saying, "What fun" in this tweet. the same exact image he's been consistently teasing for weeks upon weeks now on his Twitter. Remember this image, folks, as we'll be coming back to it a little later in the video. Anyways, Ben's departure is by no means a surprise, as we've known about it for quite some time. And his reasons are exactly like Harvey's. He's leaving only because he's getting promoted to an even better position. Now, I already went into detail on a previous video on what his new role could be at DICE, and potentially linked to a Battlefront 3. So if you want to hear about all of that, then definitely check out that video. But yeah, as of right now, Battlefront 2 officially doesn't have a community manager. But as we were told before, EA are currently in the hiring process of a replacement. I even had one person who's a fan of the channel email me saying that they did apply for the position, took part in an interview, but unfortunately didn't make it to the next phase. Granted, I can't verify whether this individual is telling the truth or not, but seeing as EA still have the Star Wars license until 2023 and have multiple new projects in the works, then they will without a doubt be needing to replace Ben. Now, as for the Scarif update itself, it should be coming out next week. According to Kevin Johnson from EA, the Scarif update is still on track to be released in mid-April, so that's a very good sign. In addition to that, the roadmap on the official website was also recently updated to show April as the release month for the Scarif update. And like always, the community transmission should be the first thing coming out, and then the update itself a day later. Ben, while no longer the community manager anymore, did say he will still be delivering the Scarif update, on account that he did write the transmission for it last month and never got the chance to unveil it. So obviously he will still want to do it now while he still can. As for the April community calendar, well, that's finished from what we know, but according to Kevin Johnson from EA, they're still waiting for some late approvals before posting it, and they're well behind on that. So it could still drop this Friday, but if not then, definitely early next week. That said, EA Tom did post the next upcoming in-game event, which will be a Battle Point event for reinforcements, giving them a 75% cost reduction in all available modes from April 10 to the 13th. In other news, we've got some new stuff related to the Scarif update that we've seen and heard in recent days. The first is a bug fix for Lando, and if you've ever played as him lately, then you'll be hard-pressed not to notice that his cooling success state just plain doesn't work. This was actually recently brought up on Reddit, where Ben Walke chimed in and confirmed that this bug would be fixed in the upcoming Scarif game update. With that said, I'm also curious if Lando's other issue will be fixed too, because if you shoot fast enough, you can actually overheat while the gold bar is still on. So basically, you can overheat and run out of shots while you're on a perfect cooldown, which suffice to say, can be very annoying. Next, remember that what fun Maul image Ben can't stop tweeting about? Well, in a recent message to players who were asking him about what appearances would be in the Scarif update, he simply wrote this in his response. What fun the next update will be. Enjoy Scarif and the new appearances. And seeing as this is Ben after all, then we should all know by now that this is in no way a mistake, but a very intentional and subtle tease. As well, considering he also snuck in a random what fun in the last note telling us about the Scarif delay. Then, by this point, it's pretty safe to say that he's all but confirmed that Maul will be getting a new appearance in the next update, which will very likely be one with cyborg legs, as that what fun Maul image is straight from Rebels. Lastly, I want to bring up another topic I've seen talked about lately, and that is Ashley Eckstein in regards to Ahsoka in Battlefront 2. During a podcast, Eckstein, the voice actor of Ahsoka, was asked if she had recorded any lines for Ahsoka for Battlefront 2, and Eckstein replied that no, she hasn't yet been asked to do so, which in turn caused some people to clickbait and panic about this being some sort of evidence that Ahsoka isn't coming to the game. Which, again, take that all with a pinch of salt, as this is absolutely in no way so-called evidence for this. Anyone who knows anything about the video game or even the animation industry knows that voiceover work is done absolutely last. And this is no different in Battlefront 2, where we can take James Arnold Taylor as an example. A few months before Obi-Wan Kenobi was released in the game, Taylor on a podcast said that he wasn't asked to record any voiceovers for Kenobi, even though we all know DICE had been working on him alongside Grievous since 2017 through leaked information. That's because, again, voiceover is the last step done when everything else is already finished. We know from insider leaks that DICE have for the most part finished Ahsoka and are likely waiting to go back to making Clone Wars content again before releasing her. Now, whether they've changed their minds on that or not, we don't know, but what we do know is that they've worked on her and that part is clear. Now granted, just because DICE worked on Ahsoka at one point doesn't automatically guarantee or confirm that she's coming to the game, as to be fair, we haven't gotten an update from DICE leaker some_info for quite some time now, so we obviously don't know the current status of Ahsoka. DICE could have just as easily scrapped her before completion, or she's done and ready to go as soon as DICE explore Clone Wars content again. It could go either way honestly, and right now no one outside of DICE knows for sure. But to use Eckstein's response here as some sort of proof or evidence that she's not coming is plain wrong and misguiding. As for Eckstein's response, then all of this really tells us is that Ahsoka won't be released in May, and that honestly isn't surprising at all. As DICE told us beforehand last month that future content past Scarif would be delayed due to the pandemic. So when we'll be seeing the next Clone Wars update is anyone's guess at this point. Another thing worth noting is that due to the pandemic, a lot of voiceover studios are also currently closed, and as a result, a lot of voice actors are without work because of this. So this could also affect DICE as well, but then again, who knows, as the situation in the summer may change, and if it does, then hopefully for the better. But that'll do it for this Battlefront update. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel to not only support it, but keep up with Star Wars news, gaming, and canon lore released every week. And consider following me on Twitter and Facebook to never miss out on the latest Star Wars content. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.